Did you know a Legion prisoner can walk out of Camp McCarran in broad daylight, and the NCR will have no idea you helped him escape? No quest marker or notification, and the game never tells you this is even possible. Fallout New Vegas is filled with quests like this that the devs purposefully hid from you. There are entire quest lines buried in dialogue trees, locked behind obscure skill checks, and designed to punish you if you bring the wrong companion. So, today I'm breaking down the most hidden quests in New Vegas, and I'm betting you missed at least half of these on your first playthrough. Let's kick things off with one that sounds simple but has a twist that can completely lock you out if you're not careful. Pistol packing. This mission is actually pretty short, but in my opinion, worth giving it a check as you get a bit of knowledge on the inside way of how the Brotherhood of Steel works. You are walking around the wasteland as normal. At some point, this will get you to the Hidden Valley, and after some quests here and there, you will obtain the permission to walk freely. At this point, the zone opens and some quests will appear, but a common playthrough will run through every one of them. The bunker isn't colossal, so you will get to know the zone pretty quickly. Now, on the task at hand, you first have to go to the bunker of the Brotherhood of Steel. It's fairly common to get here on a couple of occasions, so if you don't find this particular mission, still, everything feels organic, as only adds a little bit of internal management. This is the trigger to a curious mini-quest that I never found before revising the game again for the 11th time, and I remember talking to everyone that I could find, but that's the magic of these hidden quests. Once you're on this point, you can go to Knight Torres the weapon merchant and start chatting a bit. You know, the normal way of obtaining information. When talking, you can find out that she is missing a laser pistol. You can either say that it sucks and reduce it to a mistake of inventory management, or if you're feeling helpful, volunteer to help before Hardin finds out and gets his armor taken away or something bad? I don't really know. The people around the bunker have information and slowly can mark the path to get you near the perpetrators, so you will eventually get to a chat with the paladin on the firing range. Asking about the missing pistol will get you an interesting fact. Initiate Stanton checked it out and back in the last time, and if you talked with him before, he said that he didn't know anything about that pistol. This advances the quest, and you now have to talk to him again, or directly if you haven't. Explaining about the records on the range, he finally will accept his involvement, and we can actually start the chase. He will explain that the records were faked because he and another person went to a nearby Scorpion Gulch for training. That's actually not a bad idea if you're not an idiot, but whatever. When they found themselves overwhelmed, they ran away and dropped the pistol. You then have to forcefully agree to find it, or the pistol directly doesn't spawn. At least in my game, that was the trigger for the pistol to be there. And as a good courier, there you go. The Gulch is actually pretty near, so you enter and fight some scorpions of various types to recover the pistol, and a cool detail is that the pistol is a bit hard to find between the rocks and the scorpions, so it's believable that they got outrun. Getting the pistol will fetch you a nice tri-beam laser rifle, some XP, and a bit of reputation with the Brotherhood of Steel when you give it back to Torres. Simple and straightforward. So that's a hidden quest tucked away in dialogue. But what if I told you there's one that requires you to negotiate with 3 different vendors, pass multiple skill checks, and even repair broken equipment with your bare hands? And most players never find it, because they ignore the mess hall. Not worth a hill of corn and beans. Continuing your adventures on Camp McCarran, you can go again to the terminal building to seek info or a job. In specific, I recommend you to go and enter the office of Colonel Heichu to get a good old chat for news and possible missions. Talking with him can get you a bit of info that may interest you. He will mention that the mess rations are untenable, even with the efforts of their mess officer Farber. This is not a trigger, but feels more immersive to start the quest this way. You can skip ahead and get directly to Farber, breaking a bit the logic into the game. Anyway, we aren't here for realism. You get to Farber by going to the 2nd floor of the terminal building and then going south. When you're there, he will actually ask for some help to fix the food supply. Sure, I got you. Your job is to close a contract with a reliable source of meat from a vendor of the roundabouts, or in the best case, from the locals. Another source for spices for the food, and to add a bit more to the list, fix the broken food processor behind the mess count. This last one serves better calculated amounts of ration, and in consequence, gets the supplies to last more. But oh boy, how to fix it is kinda random. The food processor needs a hardware store of a list to get it repaired. Sure, if you explore every bit and cranny around the Mojave, it's highly probable that you have everything ready, or miss only a couple of materials. But still, it is a bit too much. If that's not the case, the game will provide you with a guide of whereabouts to check for materials, names of stores, and highlights on the map, so it isn't that bad. The information is obtained by Farber itself. A cool detail or a strange way to bypass the materials here is that you can do the courier handyman route. Basically, why need materials and knowledge on how to use them if you can, and we'll show Farber how it's done out of thin air. The processor has an 80 repair check. If you've been around repairing your weapons, it's pretty doable. If your skill level beats the check, You will show what a courier with resources can do and get it done without using any materials. Kinda strange to repair all the broken components with basically anything, but hey, happy to deliver. The additives or spices are found more easily when doing at same time the side quest, There Stands the Grass, as this quest will point you to Vault 22. Exploring around the vaults on all the Fallout games is interesting as they have great lore, but on this case, we are a man on a mission. Go get the food additive from the food production level and you're golden. It's hard to miss it. Meat, on the other hand, is a bit more troublesome to get in terms of skill level versus rewards. Nothing to write home about, but always feels cool to beat a check. This time you have 3 options, and that makes the quest more satisfactory, as it feels more real than multiple people can be convinced to trade supplies and enter a chain of trades for everyone's benefit. You can choose from my pal Blake, Ruby Nash, or Fitz, each one with their checks, price, and method. You have 2 tiers of deals depending if you have the skill level adequate. You can land a deal with every one of them fairly easy, and if you get the deal with everyone, cool, you're set for being a great negotiator and a bit of extra XP. Blake has a 50 barter check skill for accepting, and for the best reward you need a 70 for speech. This will get you some extra XP besides the actual quest. Ruby Nash asks for a 200 flat price of caps, and a barter of 50 could get you to cut the deal for only 100 caps. But if you are more skilled, a 70 speech will get you a direct win and also some XP extra, as before. Fitz is the most standard. You can tell him that they will trade meat for caps and fulfill the mission but get nothing extra, or pass a 60 barter or speech for a 2% extra discount on the future trades with Farber. Not extra XP for you this time, buddy. With everything done, you just have to get back to Farber and deliver the news. You great reward is a discount depending on the tier of negotiation you got on the meat. That's it. A bit disappointing if you let me say it, but as hidden as it is, I had fun using the dialogue and skills on banter for more than lowering a number. That quest had multiple paths, but some hidden quests aren't in the dialogue at all. They're in the game's code, watching you, waiting for you to take damage. And when they trigger, they might accidentally kill you. We must stop beating like this. This mission is one of my personal favorites. It's not a big breakthrough, it's simple, just because it functions as a way of making things easier, and in the long run, creates a comical couple of interactions. Victor, your first pal, the one that helps you at the very beginning, can help you again through the first few fights of Goodsprings and the roundabouts. He is scripted to appear if anything damages you at least to the 50% of your life bar, counting everything outside of the scripted fight with the bandits. If these conditions are met, Victor appears out of nowhere and helps you kill any enemy until the fight is finished. This event triggers a unique conversation giving you a bit of advice about not roaming so far from the roads, and also never near the immediate road that leads to New Vegas. In my experience, this is a hilarious semi-Easter egg because Victor is your ally, cool and everything. But on this point of the game, you are very frail and can die from almost anything, and curious is the case that Victor loves to use his grenade launcher. And yes, it can damage you a lot by accident. So my calculations determine that at the very least, 50% of the time in a fight, you will be blown to bits. If he dies in the fight, this will be addressed in future encounters as a unique conversation trigger. Sadly, this only ends as a curious interaction and a way of the game to lend you a hand. I would have loved to see something more. The unique lines of interaction ends with a prompt of conversation that says, "Do I look like a destroyed partner?" from Victor when you meet him again after being destroyed and reunited in a near town. So the game has mechanical secrets tracking you. But what about quests where you track someone else? What if I told you there's a hidden interrogation where you can fake being a Legion assassin, manipulate a prisoner into breaking, or secretly help him escape? And if you bring the wrong companion, he'll ruin everything Cyrus treatment. The Wasteland, land of opportunity and danger, Legion and NCR fighting around. A giant monster chasing you, the joy of liberty. In your adventures through Camp McCarran, you can get wind of a captured Centurion of high rank of the Caesar's Legion while chatting with Colonel Shu. So far, the NCR has failed to interrogate him, and he tips you about how the interrogator could use a new pair of hands, so as the courier is all in on every matter on the Mojave, we follow the idea. In this moment, you have opened a new quest, multiple options, and 2 whole brackets. You can choose to ignore or don't even catch the idea and continue as normal. The game doesn't tell you, but that's kind of the point of dialogue and roleplay. So, you can go and talk with Boyd the interrogator about some certain limitations she has interrogating because of his military position, explaining in few words. She also has his hands tied. Now faced with the power of choice, the game puts a reputation check that being successfully passed means Boyd agrees to let you help. Up to you, but either you have to follow the NCR side or backstab your military friends, going into the interrogatory and helping Cyrus instead, for fun mostly, or because you like chaos. I don't know. Obviously, this isn't so easy. Boyd accepts your help and lets you pass. Any path you follow is met with leaving your weapons behind, to ensure that you do not simply bring in a fat boy and nuke the Centurion. You can bring your holdout weapons if you have a high sneak level, just like the casinos on the Strip. Now that I think about it, where does the courier hide the bigger weapons? Yeah, better to not think about it, so let's look at the NCR path. Violence or intelligence? You enter the room and can start right away beating the living hell out of him. Every third of the health bar will begin an interaction. When you beat him to the final third of the bar, he will yield and be willing to talk. Courier the top interrogator on the house. Of course, you can decide to punch him to the death only for shit and giggles, failing the mission in the process and getting infamy towards NCR. Totally worth it, by the way, or following the most logical path and simply not, seriously, no. Concentrate on finishing the quest and keep going your way. But what Fallout would be without a bit of manipulation? This is also a way and has multiple dialogue options. One with intelligence, others with following a bunch of choices and making it slip some info. But first you have to surpass the barrier of 50 speech or stick to your E-rated courier hands. Anyway, the courier can, and in my opinion, the most unique option is to surpass the intelligence checks and manipulate him. And even in this method, you have a bit of room for choice. Imagine this. The Centurion is trapped, and then some random person enters the room. It's not a soldier, it's just a normal dude with armor of some sort. Then you start hearing from the mouth of this person that is a Legion assassin sent to kill you, because suddenly you have been charged with treason, and following the logic of your faction can be real. You start losing your cool in the process and yelling for Boyd to save you. That's the POV of Cyrus, so in my opinion, it is understandable that he can be manipulated. As the courier then, you can choose to intimidate him to save his own skin, giving away all the info he has for not killing him, a bit unlogical, but fine, or also you can choose to carry on the death threat, losing the mission and getting infamy, but being a man of your word. Continuing the section, for whatever reason, you also can, if you want, reveal the deception and Cyrus will be so mad, choose this for some laughs, but losing the mission is on the same package. In any case, you win some fame and caps, more if you use the non-violent approach, but all that can happen just from some dialogue. Cool, right? If you're a hater of being free, got hit by a meteorite on the head. You only are strange, or at least I personally do not understand the reason, any reason, you're a Caesar follower. You're on luck. This mission has a route for you too. To get it, you have to pay a bit of a hefty price gaining infamy. But that's kind of the point of these missions. Choosing a side or faction. Fallout always had these types of rival factions, and doing one objective can quickly go and get you locked out from any other quest involving the other faction. In this case, Boyd missions by helping Silas, and the path actually has a bit of elaboration. For being a subpath in an already hidden mission, I have to give credit for the efforts. To be fair, you have to follow the same path to get into the room with him, but after that, the route is much different. Instead of going full ape on him, go talk to him. And if you want or have affinity with the Legion, a unique dialogue option will appear. In this, you can tell him that you're here to give him a hand to get out of there. Being reasonable, he will ask for his silenced .22 pistol, also a curious note or overlook. Any silenced .22 gun works, and you can completely skip the next step by bringing one in the holdout weapons. If you forgot one in your locker or don't have one, your options are slim to none, so then the only thing I can offer is to you to stage a fight with Cyrus. Or throw hands, as I prefer to say it. He can be used as a punching bag and still save him. A bit of goodness from both worlds. The courier will beat his ass a bit, so Boyd will come in and ask you to get out, wondering if you're out of your mind or an expert interrogator on the scene. This is the moment you have to seize and go to a nearby locker and retrieve the gun. Come inside again when asked and lend the pistol to Silas. That's it. You finish this quest, gaining a bit of exp in the process and being a worse person, a bit abrupt end, but don't forget this is a secret quest, not even a side one. If you're a curious person like me and want a bit more, it's actually pretty cool how this path goes after lending a hand to Sirius. He fakes being unconscious after the beating, Boyd without much to get from him in that state, will send Hornsby to clean the mess, and are cleared out. CPL Hornsby enters the scene and starts cleaning the mess in the room. Sirius awakes from his fake slumber and kills the corporal, dresses in his clothes, and out we go. He simply walks out. You cannot talk to him in this state. He only walks away all the way to the building doors and disappears in the mysterious Mojave loading screen. That's my theory, at least. As another side note, if you have Bonnie with you, as you probably already know, is a professional hater and hunter of the Legion. He will automatically attack Cyrus when you give him the pistol, and Hornsby enters the room. The trigger is a bit strange, but works almost all the time. So bringing Bonnie to help Cyrus is a guaranteed failure in the mission. At the same time, this is demonstrating why is the GOAT being real to his character context. Besides that, this output is putting it in general terms the worst of both worlds. You fail the quest at hand from both sides, gain a bit of infamy with SCR, and nothing for the Legion. But hey, cheer up. This counts as one of the checks to activate Bonnie Companion Mission. Hooray! That's the most complex hidden quest in terms of branching paths. But complexity isn't the same as difficulty. There's one quest that gives you 60 seconds to find infected terminals before the entire Brotherhood computer system crashes. And if you fail, you can't retry, unless you know the secret. The computer virus, roaming around the Mojave, will get you to the Hidden Valley. Again, yeah, but it's very common to get around a couple of times. Follow me on this? You must find time to meet a scribe named Ibsen localized on the second floor of the bunker. I promise. It's worth it. Chat with him a bit to learn about problems with the computer system. If you ask further, then you learn about a particular virus that the scribes have been meddling with. That appears to be from the Great War. Why exactly were they messing with it? Because they can, mostly. It's a wild place. Whatever the dialogue you get, in general terms you are presented with the whole explanation if you're interested, but in a couple words, they recovered a holotape and put it in the main system to read it, without any kind of measure. Simple curiosity. How the luck works, this tape was exactly a virus, and the terminals are being infected as you speak with him. So out of desperation, Ibsen wants to purge the virus with your help, and the courier is all in. Even if he has a full log of quests, he doesn't care or care a lot depending on your perspective. The plan is simple but functional. Search for the virus in some terminals in the archives room. There's a whole of them, and you only have like 1 minute before the virus basically becomes a whole infection on the system. The archives room is small, and you have to quickly go through every terminal. Luckily enough, the virus has a bit of humor sense, and you're looking for a virus that is actively taunting you with a text on a flickering screen, so it's actually easy to find the correct terminals. And as strange as it sounds, you can try again any number of times so the virus isn't actually that lethal, or Ibsen can go back in time. Another bypass you can use is being a courier of science and pass a 70 skill check, eliminating one directly before start. And if you're a man of resources, a 60 repair check will eliminate all the not infected terminals and only maintain powered up the ones of interest. Being skilled in diverse areas is always useful, and that is something I love about New Vegas and Fallout in general. If you are checking around, sometimes you will find checks that actually make sense and can make your life much easier. Time pressure is one thing, but there's a hidden quest that most players never complete because they use the same companion the entire game. And this one actually changes how the game ends. You've probably rescued him, traveled with him, but never triggered his personal questline. Old School Ghoul. I have my doubts about adding companion missions to the list, but seeing my experience on the game, I never explored most of them. Mostly because I had my boy Bonnie with me all the time and didn't exactly care about the others. Sorry, other dudes, my homeboy is my homeboy. But anyway, let's talk about Raul Tejada. The companion you rescued during Crazy. Kinda strange, but every now and then Raul wonders about the value of the people in the society. More exactly, the elderly people. And sometimes after a fight it is a good idea to go ahead and talk about it. Besides the actual quest, is an interesting character, and also, why the hell is he wondering that in a world full of monsters? That's personality to you. The point is that you have to talk with some elders that are very valuable on their own paths. There isn't an order to follow, and you actually have to pay attention to the details to remember them before visiting them. So, a point for the roleplay: ensure that you are doing it right by paying attention to the moment Raul starts a conversation with the courier about what the observations he got on the characters and their anecdotes. This is the interaction you're looking for. Loyal, Corporal Sterling and Ranger Andy are the objectives, so you have to be fairly ahead on the story. Mostly for entering Nellis Base, you have to survive the Boomer's artillery bombardment, and then you're set to simply walk to his house or go speak with Loyal. Sterling is on McCarran in a large tent outside the terminal building, or depending on your advances on the story, the squad will be on Camp Forlone in the command center. Raul will speak a bit about himself and its life during and before the Great War, so that's the confirmation you seek. Andy will be spending the day in his bungalow near Dinky the Trex across from the Dino Delight Motel. So many Dino references, huh? And you have to ask him what happened to him, its leg particularly, and what he does around here. With that, Raoul externates his opinion with his boy the Courier about how an old crippled man got his place in a harsh world as the Mojave. Now, after speaking with everyone, you must decide Raoul's fate for the endgame, return to his gunslinging past, or look to contribute in another way, besides violence. The most important part is that this choice affects the ending of Raoul at the end of the game. In terms of gameplay, a choice or the other is only a perk over other. In my opinion, both work, so choose the one you like for the ending. And that's just 6 of the most hidden quests in New Vegas. If you enjoyed this video and want to see every crazy Fallout 4 theory that might actually be true, click the video on the screen.